Games from these monsters on the 2.6-mile Grand Prix track, one of the drivers' favourite tracks throughout.
Brands Hatch no longer a Grand Prix circuit, but a beauty. The Lister and the Viper on pole, the TVR right behind with a Marcus in the mix for good measure, Callum Lockie in the turquoise Porsche, and then the Dave Warnock leading them very slowly to the line in the Lister. Now he gets the green light, away he goes, gets the power down. He always makes a cautious start, but it looks as though he's got... No, he hasn't. Rob Wilson goes around the outside to take the lead. Contact between the two of them. The Viper and the Lister spin, but they're off and out of the way. So, oh no, further back. Oh my goodness me. Well, there's Tim Sugden's car. There's the Ferrari, the Lotus rather. Looks like everybody was off. Shane Bland making contact there with the Jones Brothers Porsche as well. And I thought they got away with that, Ben, but further back another accident compounding matters.
Yeah, what a disappointment. That's our two of our three front runners out race already on the first lap, and Michael Caine now should have a fairly easy opportunity to open up an advantage over Callum Lockie.
Well, the reigning champion might have something to say about that. He got past Jeff Lister in the yellow Marcus. Kelvin Burt leading a balance of Porsches, and off at the back, that's Ollie Wilkinson in Charlie Butler Henderson's mark, heavily into the barriers on the Ed Westfield. There's Dave out of his Marcus, but the doctors are tending to Dave Warnock in the Lister Storm. Yellow flags are out. I'm sure the safety car will be smelled to bring the race back under control and to allow them to attend to Dave Warnock. Here's Lawrence Pierce.
Yeah. Are you surprised they didn't red flag it?
Well, I am. I mean, very surprised. But then they didn't, you know. I'm very surprised because, you know, anything could have gone wrong.
So you've just been down to see the car. There's no obvious...
I've gone as close as I can.
Lawrence Pierce looking understandably worried there for the safety of his driver, but I think Dave Warnock is okay. The wreck Lister being towed off the circuit. They're behind the safety car. What does Michael Caine have to say about it?
Did the Viper and the Lister touch? The Viper's gone round the outside of Warnock, and Warnock's just tried to outbrake him as well, and they've both triple salto, and he's just spun in front, and I've just literally back at Lister as it was spinning into the gravel. But no, they didn't touch. Are you alright though? Car alright? Yeah, she's fine. The front end just caught the Viper. I mean, sorry, the Lister, but I couldn't go anywhere, but I don't think there's any problems with the car.
Let's take a look at the replay from on board Michael Caine's car. Now, Rob Wilson up on the outside of Dave Warnock. They went into paddock hill bend. Warnock up on the inside, gets on the curb a little bit and may have just knocked off the curb into the Wilson's car. I think there may have just been a slight touch between them.
Well, Wilson looked to have the move made. There he is, no ill effects from that. They're ready to go green flag racing again. Lizzie Everett gives them the double greens to get it underway, and Callum Lockie looking to make a move around the outside of Michael Caine. Didn't have the run down the Brabham straight to pass into paddock. There is the pole sitter from GTO chasing up the field. Kelvin Burt making a move for third place overall on the Marcus up the inside. And up the inside there, Rob Barth in the TVR gets by Neil Cunningham in the Porsche.
That TVR did not align well. Remember, it was on pole position in the GTO class, but the class now being led by Kelvin Burt. Although he's under attack from the Marcus here, and in fact it's going through. Jeff Lister gets through into third place overall, but here comes Kelvin Burt back at him.
Kelvin Burt still fighting with the GT class Marcus. Terry Reimer right there as well, so better watch his P's and Q's. Reimer knows this track very well, making a move as Michael Caine holds off Kaki for the overall lead. And Lockie in the Dave Wells Porsche, well, we've seen how quickly he can make that car go in any conditions. He may yet get a chance to battle Michael Caine for the victory here.
Yeah, this is an impressive run once again from Callum, who hasn't raced in all the events this year, but he is the reigning champion.
Well, the GTO field streams through, a little bit shaken up, I should think, by the kerfuffle at the first corner, because there was a GTO crash as well with Shane Bland. Further back, there's the Ultima battling the GTO former pole sitter in that class, but they started at the back after engine problems in practice.
Now, Rob Barth with the GT can into the pits. It's quite early to do that, but they're right in traffic, and I might try and take advantage of some clear space for Martin Short.
Right at the beginning of the pit stop window, and time that to the seconds, because it is all down to time, not number of laps. Terry Reimer in the Harlow car, still motors on, and in gets Martin Short, the Tuscan. Very mean-looking machine. And it's certainly got the pace to take pole and potentially win the race as well. Nice, smooth change as well. That will certainly help them.
Yeah, good changeover for those two. Martin Short now gets out in that car, and we'll see whether he can get past some of the Porsches. Meanwhile, here's our overall race leader, Michael Caine.
Well, Kane really doing a great job in the TVR, speeding away from Callum Lockie. On board with Callum. It always strikes me how cool, calm and collected drivers look. If you were sitting in your seat, you would be scared witless at the speed compared to a road car. But, oh, who's that? Somebody going off on the right to Dingledell, and that is the Marcus. So Jeff Lister tapping the Marcus against the barriers, it looks as though. And I'm sure he will be heading for the pits now. The pit stop is open, being chased by Kelvin Burt, still for third overall. Michael Kane extending his advantage in the hope that they will not see a safety car during the course of the race.
Yes, that's been there a couple of times this year, although not last time, and TVR's season really has begun to get a little better. With their two main rivals out of this race, it's a good opportunity for them to score points, and we're climbing up out of Surtees onto the fastest section as into the pits comes Turner. Now this is for Ed Horner to take the Porsche, clambers into the car, belts done as quickly as possible, and then they'll send Ed Horner back out onto the track. Quick check on the time at the same time.
Well, they were comfortably at 6, battling for points here. Ed gets the car ready. Ooh, oh, I wonder if he's got a clutch problem, because then it sounds like he can't... Oh, that's horrid. Ooh.
Ouch, yes, painful mechanically there as they tries to get it into gear and it doesn't seem to want to. Meanwhile, into the pits comes our race leader.
Yeah, race leader comes in. Callum Lockie shots him while he's stationary, obviously, and that will give Callum Lockie the lead briefly. Michael Kane came in bizarrely over the concrete right on the inside there. Callum Lockie now does take the race, and so he will motor on.
Now here comes Bobby Verden-Rowe to take over from Michael Kane. Look, Michael really scrambling to get out of that car. It's not the easiest. Bobby Verden-Rowe gets himself underneath those tubes in the doorway. Now they've got to get him strapped in and get the door closed. Seen problems earlier this year. Should have got that sorted. Very good stop this time from the TVR crew, and Bobby Verden-Rowe goes back out.
Race leader Callum Lockie now heading down into Graham Hill Bend as the TVR, well, effectively comes the opposite direction in front of him out of the pits. And Callum Lockie again looking cool, calm and collected. Bobby Verden-Rowe now heading up towards Druids, this uphill approach to the hairpin. He's got the Attard and Woodford Ferrari 360 Modena right in front of him, the G-Class car. And the tail steps out as Bobby applies all of the prodigious horsepower of the Speed 12.
The Ferrari a bit wide of the apex there, aware perhaps of the race leader, former race leader coming up behind him. Bobby Verden-Rowe goes through. Meanwhile, Amanda is with Michael Kane, who's just stepped out of the car.
It looked like, firstly, they just went in way fast, and he started getting a slide on, and I'm not sure that they didn't touch, nobody touched, and it just looked like to me, maybe Dave Warnock lifted, because then his car just went as well.
GTO leader Kelvin Burt, second place overall as he comes into the pits. Marino Franchitti waits to get into the car, and Kelvin pulled bodily aside. A little undignified, but speed is of the essence. You can't afford to waste a single second. Bobby Verden-Rowe's TVR second now as he chases Reimer, who's leading in front of all his guests at his favourite track at Brands Hatch. Dave Belts rejoins in his Porsche. He's taken that over from Callum.
On board now with Dave. He comes up towards Druids and he's on tyres that have cooled down. Ferrari actually goes past him up on the inside there. We'll see whether he should be able to get back past him fairly quickly down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend. Now, this used to be a flat-out corner, nowadays taken with a fairly deep brake before they go on. Kelvin Burt, meanwhile, down there in pit lane.
Yeah, talking to the Par Motorsport engineers, just relaying details on how the car's handling that can then be fed through to Marino as he gets into the groove on his first couple of laps. Bobby Verden-Rowe, 4 seconds down on race leader Reimer, chasing hard. He's right behind the Marcus of Shane Bland and Shane Lynch. And as they come through Stirlings, he should be able to pass him on the way down to Clearways.
Should be fairly simple there, just on acceleration. The Ultima coming through the Ferrari, and then Dave Welts, who hasn't managed to get past that Ferrari yet, but could have an opportunity here down into Stirlings. He outbrakes him down the inside. Classic overtaking here at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix, and now he goes chasing after the Ultima.
Turbos on the flat six Porsche at full boost as he is past the normally aspirated Chevy engined Ultima. Straight by he goes. Here's the battle for six. Steve Hyde in the black and yellow Tuscan, chasing Mark Sumter. Looks to the inside at Clearways. Oh, just avoids the little contact that would have spun her out into the gravel.
Still has a good exit Clearways though, and he should be able to conclude on the run towards Paddock Hill Bend. There's Steve Hyde on the inside in the yellow and black car, and as we said, he makes the move stick at the next corner, Paddock Hill Bend, so he's up into sixth.
There's the NCK pit crew. There's Jeff Lister. And welcome return to the chip from them. They've been racing in the series for 3 or 4 years. Riddell going well in that car. Battling here with Mark Short in another TVR. And the Bland and Lynch Marcus trying desperately to stay out of the way, but on the track.
Yes, battle between GT and GTO. Remember that blue and green TVR is in the GTO class. The yellow Marcus is in the GT class.
Yeah, good point. They're racing for overall position, but different scoring, of course. In comes the Ultimate. Ed Sharp in trouble in the close, which is what a shame. They need a good run to get some development work done. Dave Belt's in second place in the Porsche. And a long gap back to Marino Franchi in third spot. Robin Liddell flying back up the order because he's fourth overall. Martin Short in fifth place there. You just saw that move happen on the last lap, and he really is easing away from Short quite comfortably. But despite all the chasers, it's still Bobby Verdon-Roe out front.
Marino Franchitti leading in the GTO class, but he's got to watch out because behind this yellow Marcos is that second place in GTO, Martin Short, and he's been putting in some very quick laps. He's gradually closing up.
Certainly the Marcus is closing, and that means Short must be as well. Passing Shane Lynch and chasing the Jones brothers as we ride with Bobby Verdon-Roe over the Dingledale chicane. I bet that nice handful there as it flies over the top. You saw the rolling round, so Ed Sharp made it out of the pits for, well, not quite one more lap.
Bobby Verdon-Roe gets through safely. Yes, there is the Ultimate. It has finally called a halt to proceedings. But here's the battle for second place. Dave Welts, Porsche now under from Robin Liddell in the Marcos. Behind him, Marino Franchitti and Martin Short. This is the battle for the GTO class, and that TVR closing up. Here we go, battle for second then. The yellow Marcus moving to the outside on the approach, a very fast right-hander, and there's no contest really as Robin Liddell takes the place relatively easily, well wide, but keeps it all on the tarmac.
Robin, ex-single-seater man, reinventing himself as a sports car star, raced in the British GT Championship and the European Le Mans Series this year with success at Donington Park, through Dingledale and the stationary car of his teammate Chris Marries.
Yeah, let's see what happened here, Marries, as he came up towards Dingledale. Oh, he put a wheel on the grass as he turned in, and that meant that he couldn't get it sorted out at all. Just dived straight through the gravel trap and unfortunately dug down before he got back on the grass.
Matt Turner in the race overalls with the Par Motorsport crew, all looking a little bit worried, and perhaps they've got reason to. Marino Franchitti under great pressure from the experienced Martin Short. This is Marino's first year as a GT racer. Short's got plenty of experience in this championship and with these cars.
Yeah, look at the way he hopped over the chicane at Dingledale. Martin Short is really fired up. And they haven't won a race yet with this car. Tuscan, the other Tuscan, has won in GTO, but this car has not. And yet they are flying here. Marino Franchitti's got a real job in his hands to keep them behind.
Important test for Marino as well. The team, I'm sure, would feel that Kelvin Burke would be a safe pair of hands in this situation. And Marino needs to prove the same thing, even if he can't hold off the TVR as Short makes the move down the inside. Marino has to give a good account of himself here, and he does so. Short takes the lead, though. It was the quickest car in practice, and it still seems to be the quickest car he's set up.
The Tuscanars are running well here. Steve in the other car, challenging Adams for 6th place overall. And it looks to go to the outside rather than the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. It's harder to do that. Now he might be able to cut back on the inside on the approach to Druids. Yeah, just got up there. I think he should be able to take the place into Druids. Good move from Steve Hyde. A little bit of a disappointing run for Harlow, but, well, it's delight down there in the pits for Steve Hyde's crew and Dennis Leach.
Oh, that's Godfrey Jones spinning the Porsche at Hawthorne Bend, and he's got a punctured left rear, and that's what will have thrown him off there. And Ben, out of Pilgrim's Drop, that's a high-speed approach to that corner as well. Worrying moments.
Yes, that must have been fairly scary. Meanwhile, the TVR crew are looking out for their man, Bobby Verdon-Roe, as he comes round to take victory in the TVR.
Yeah, Michael Caine hanging at the wall with the rest of them, and still no sign of the safety car. Surely this will bag for them. At long last, they're starting to break their jinx. They have been fast, so unfortunate this year. Finally at Brands Hatch, it all comes good. Down Stirlings and out of Clearways for the final time. The checkered flag waves, nearly a minute up on second place. A dominant victory for the TVR.
Second win of the season for the Speed 12 and the GTO car. The Tuscanar of Martin Short looks as though it's going to win in GTO despite Marino Franchitti's flying attempts through Caine.
Brands Hatch Grand Prix is a wonderful venue and a great race despite 6 cars failing around lap 1. TVR victorious over Marcus and Porsche, and Tuscans first and third in the GTO class. But the last word surely must go to Verdon-Roe, the winner. And I can't tell you who moves the TVR pair into second place ahead of the Viper, just 6 points shy of the GT Championship lead.
In the G category, Kelvin Burt and Marino have a 27-point advantage, but it's closing up in the battle behind.
This Bouchou down in 11th place. But quite quietly, Hazelman's pulling from pole and building up a comfortable dry track. He was followed by Raffanelli Ferrari, 550, Manuel Nespetti at the wheel, Sebastian Blake-Mullen in the number 4 car sport of Viper, and Christophe Bouchou, having risen rapidly up the field from 11th on the grid, is into 3rd place. Paul Belmondo Viper, Boris de Richebourg dropped back in the early stages, gearbox trouble. Better news for one of the other Belmondo cars, Vossa taking the... But most of the leaders pitted to change tyres during a shower just 45 minutes into the race.